Well, I've hit a bit of a snag. Welcome to Ralph's house.
Welcome to Ralph's house!
Yeah, things were going really well with the Genco Archer pinball. I'd sorted out some of the bulbs. Not all of the bulbs worked, and I hadn't quite nailed down why that was. All will become apparent though. I'd also got most of the bumpers working, although they arc quite a bit, which is fairly typical of that period. I shall need to put some capacitors across the back to reduce that. And they're in the post. They'll arrive some point this week, as well as some additional bulbs if I need them. But this snag, I don't know why I didn't spot it before. It was glaringly obvious in the machine. As I was clocking up scores on the back glass, it would get to 300 or about that, and then it would stop. It wouldn't go any higher. And I thought, well, that's odd. And then the penny dropped, because I could see this gear wheel, which is basically, it keeps a tally of your scores. It goes up each notch. It's keeping a tally of it, and that's how it remembers it, depending on the position of this gear wheel. But to the right of it, clearly there should have been another one, and now it no longer exists. It's not in the machine at all. It didn't come with it. So, and that's a great shame. It's probably sitting in somebody's junk box somewhere. That's the sad thing about this. So unless, and it's a bit of an appeal, if anybody has a Genco Archer, please, and is willing to do this, take off the other wheel. If they've stripped it down once, it probably won't be so much of a hassle. Take off the other wheel and take as many photographs of it so I can copy it, because I've got no form of reference. Remember, there are no parts for this machine anymore. There are no diagrams. There's no factory you can go to for spares. They don't exist. You have to make them. And I'm more than happy to make one. But what worries me is if I just make a copy of this, it may be different, and it's certainly the contacts on the plate at the back, look, they're a different orientation. So I really need a point of reference here, or from a Genco of that period that's got these same counter wheels on it. But I was looking at, how I was going to do this. Now there's a spring that comes with it. Obviously I'm going to need another one of those. Not too bad. I could make that out of piano wire, as long as I know the gauge of it, and wind it around a format. I'm sure I can make a copy of that. The contacts on this are relatively simple. What they are essentially is a copper nail that goes through there. The only thing that stops it going back through is they put a blob of solder on the back, and it's surrounded by a spring. So those I could replicate, just use copper nails, and I'm sure I can source some springs for it. The bit in the middle, I would say, and I think my friend Roger would agree, he knows more about metals than I do, I think that's phosphor bronze. And it does have a little bit of play in it, but it wouldn't be too difficult to make a couple of those, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll help me with that. But then I started looking at, and I thought, where that bolt, there was a small bolt through there, and it's I've taken it out. But I thought, that doesn't look like steel. So I've just got out Brasso, which is invaluable if you've got a pinball. And this is made of copper. That's not brass, is it? It's the wrong colour. It'd be more yellow if it was brass. So that's a positive, because copper is a lot easier to file than steel. So I can order some copper sheet, and I can dismantle this and bolt through the middle against the copper sheet, and then I've got a reference point to how far to file down. I just basically copy this. So that's where I'm at. I'm basically, well, I'm just going to have to accept that this Genco Pinball is going to be on hold probably for months, because, you know, you don't really want to be doing this in the winter. I can make myself a little vise in my small workshop and start filing one, I guess. But I've got a lot to think about, haven't I? These, sorry, that and that are really just stops. They're not that relevant. They just push a lever as this thing goes around. They're not too difficult to make. I mean, I found these at work which were similar diameter. I think they're furniture boxes of them. They're just scrap anyway. That wouldn't be too bad, and if it was cut to the right length on the back, it looks like it's peened over. Well, actually, is that one? No, that one's like almost like it's a flush fit. I don't know how they fasten that in there, but I suppose you could solder it. There's also that bracket to make. I'd love to see what sort of material that's made out of. I would guess they've spot welded that on. Hard to know. Like I say, these are easy to do. These are just copper nails, and I just need some springs. But as I say, I don't know that both wheels are identical. But I think for the first thing I've got to do is make a new one of those that's exactly the same size. I know the size of both wheels is the same. But like I say, if there's anybody out there that's got a Genco Archer or a Genco Pinball that uses these same gear wheel counters, that's willing to give me a picture of both, or at least the one that I'm missing, so that I can push this project forward, because I won't give up, that's for sure, but I'm really stuck now for source material, because there's no point in looking for Genco. They're long gone. They didn't really carry many spares in the first place, and there are none now. You just have to make the part, or you just fall on the charitable nature of someone online. And at the moment, I'll say I'm based in the UK. My American friends have been really great, very helpful. But what's the chance that someone's got a Genco that for whatever reason they've scrapped, but maybe has one of these sitting in a junk box somewhere, who can assist me a bit, because I really don't want to give up on this pinball. We need to get it going again, you know. There's no reason why it couldn't be. But that's where I'm at. And I think in the shorter term, I'm going to have to go back to normal Rouse House stuff and then come back to the Genco when I've got more updates. But this is a major snag in terms of proceeding forward, isn't it? So on that note, thanks for watching. And I say, if you do have a Genco and you've got one of these with similar wheels in it, please do get in touch. Photographs are invaluable, because as long as I know what it should look like, I can make the replacement. But with no reference material, remember, there are no schematics, no parts, I'm really stuck. Anyway, I think that's it for this week. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.